This is probably my 7th or 8th talk at the NSCA. Really good friends with Scott Caulfield, and I started doing work at Fort Carson, Colorado with 4th Infantry after a long stint with the Ranger Division down at Fort Benning. And what we started to do was utilize a lot of these Soviet conjugate, whatever you want to call it, systems with the military, and we were one of the first guys to actually do it with some pretty outstanding results, which I'll show you up here at local fire departments, which have a lot more to do with what you guys do, just by the meaning that, you know, their work base and the Ranger divisions are so high that obviously any small changes are going to make some huge improvements. But what do these types of things do with a normal fire department in a normal city? You know, that's what we really want to know. Those are the millions of people that we want to affect. So I have some data up here to show you. So have anybody guys heard me talk before? I don't know how much of my intro, okay, only like a quarter. All right. So basically, I broke 4 world records in my career in powerlifting. I got a master's in sports biomechanics under Dr. Kramer at Ball State, which a lot of you guys just heard this talk. And if you were in that talk, how many of you guys were in Kramer's talk? I hope all of you. All right. He's talking about the advent of development of strength, okay? Well, that's my avenue, all right? And the biggest reason is not only for all the hormonal reasons and all the bone mass reasons, it's where we're all weak. I don't know how many times I got to stand up here and tell everybody all the time. It's like, I go to 4th Infantry and I work with 6,000 infantrymen. Do anybody know what the average deadlift was? 180 pounds. You see how I don't have any hair? That's not from being a big guy and lifting all the time. It's from dealing with this ridiculousness, okay? You need to be able to deadlift, male or female, 2 to 2.5 times body weight, okay? I want you to think about this real quick. If you're a fireman or a policeman or a military guy, okay, you're walking around with 50 to 80 pounds of gear, roughly, depending on if you're a big guy like me, so your suits are bigger, or you're a smaller guy. What are you going to do when the guy next to you falls down and he weighs 250 plus 60 pounds of gear, and you got to carry him out of something? That's 300 pounds plus your weight. How much does that equal, right? We're talking in the 4s, 500 pounds of resistance. And not only that, it's awkward. Do you think a deadlift bar is awkward? No, a deadlift bar is normal. So your deadlift needs to be much more advanced than the weights that you're going to be succumbing to out in the field, because this isn't awkward. A body is awkward. You know, an overweight person falling in between the tub and the toilet, that's awkward, right? A person smashing a car or stuck in a heavy artillery vehicle where you can't stand all the way up and have perfect form to pick them up, right? That's awkward. But if you're not even strong in a non-awkward situation, how is that going to help you? This is what I keep trying to drill and drill and drill into people for the last like 5 years. So, general population and tactical statistics. It's not uncommon to see back injuries in 80% of the population at some point in their lives, accounting for 1 out of every 5 injuries or illnesses combined. That sounds like a huge problem that we have in society. And I'm here to tell you right now, it's because we're weak. Tactical populations are at higher risk. The lights are kind of bright, but these stats are coming from notable, credible places, okay? Tactical populations are at a high risk. But I mean, I can go 100% meathead with none of that stuff either. That's really easy for me. But many of the skeletal muscular injuries occurred in the tactical community involve the lower back. I mean, that's commonplace, right? But I want to know how much of that training that we devote all of our time and effort to, how much are we actually working on the lower back? How much are we actually using that training to isolate the lower back and make sure that it's strong? And what you're going to realize is the deadlift, easily known, is a lot of lower back, right? That's why a lot of us stay away from it. But in reality, it's a huge glute activation exercise. And the reason that most people hurt their lower back is because they can't use their butt muscles correctly, okay? And that's why it's a sumo deadlift that I'm teaching you. Sumo deadlifts force you to have to use more glutes than conventional, all right? How many people train sumo deadlifts all the time? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I just want to walk out now. Okay. The reason that you train a sumo deadlift, okay, for all you specific people out there, the sumo deadlift forces you to use more glute. Guess what the limitation is on a conventional deadlift when you get really strong is? Glutes, right? So why not train the position in which is going to attack the muscles that are probably going to be the problem? That's where it becomes specific. You don't want weaknesses. In a tactical field, whether it's police, fire, military, you don't want any weak muscles not doing their job, because then the small ones are going to have to end up taking more of the brunt, and that becomes a major issue. So lower back strength is key to increased performance and injury reduction at any tactical field. On average, there is little done to strengthen the lower back in many wellness programs. Okay? When I started at Washington Township Fire Department, they were doing nothing. We had no equipment that was like, that's not a lower back piece, that's not a lower back piece. They had a Smith machine and dumbbells up to 25 pounds. It's great for, I guess, but not to be a fireman. Prehab and stretching only goes so far. I love coming to these conferences all the time, and I see people, that it has its place doing tennis ball stuff, rolling out this, making sure the scapula is moving in the right direction. But what about just being able to deadlift 2 times your body weight, Nobody talks about that, but that's what it's going to take, and that's when you get hurt. You get hurt when you get taxed on something you're not familiar with or you're not strong enough to do, okay? If I go pick up a 250-pound guy that has a heart attack out here and carry him out to the ambulance, that's not a big deal for me. It is for most of you guys, because that person's going to be heavy. A great way to strengthen the back in a glute dominant fashion. That's why we talked about why we're going to teach sumo today. Sumo deadlift can be safer and can be used in more volume than conventional pulling due to its lower activation of the quad and back muscles. World Championship, when I broke the world record in the total, I pulled conventional at the meet. I pulled conventional 3 times in 20 weeks. The rest of the time was all sumo, okay? Because I'm attacking my weak spots. So if you're looking at your training as a whole, okay, this doesn't even have to do with really weightlifting in general, but if you're doing your training as a whole, you want to look at where your weakest links are. That's why the conjugate system in a smart man's hands is a very powerful tool, because it's always looking for the weakest link. When I get ready for a meet, the first thing I do is I take my squat, my deadlift, and my bench press, and I watch video of either me making or missing an attempt over and over and over again. And I'm looking for those little tiny muscle groups that aren't functioning correctly, that aren't doing their job. And then once I attack those and beat them up, it might take me 6 or 8 months for those to come back around or get strong enough to what I see, constantly make gains. But the most important thing is I never get hurt. You're looking at a 35-year-old man that's been in the top 10 in the world for 15 years, and I've never had more than a muscle pull, because I have learned how to listen to my body, watch for mistakes, those types of things. And that's the only thing that heavy lifting can do, okay? So it's a great assessment of muscle activation and strength. Sumo form issues in the sumo pull allow us to do what? See muscles that are dominant, which ones are lackluster, and which ones we need to do for accessory work to ensure balance along the skeletal muscular system. So you know how we have all these assessments? How many of us use assessments? Like we do these little sit and reach tests and all this other stuff. I can show you all that on a back squat or a deadlift really fast. So why not work on something that gives us, we hit 2 birds with 1 stone versus 1 thing, okay? But it also gives us the bridge gap on what we do for accessory work. So how many of us do a main exercise in our workouts and then we go do accessory work like little stuff? Okay, and how many of us base it completely on our weak spots and not just do something general? Right, not as many. That's the whole key to working out smart, okay? So lifting heavy weights is not only about being stronger, it's about seeing your weak spots. What are you going to do with something super heavy? Are you going to break form? Are you going to use the wrong muscles, okay? So what does this have to do with saving money, putting effort into things that show real results? Okay, in 2008, the Washington Township Fire Department is 150 guys, roughly. The average deadlift was 175 pounds, the same thing I saw in 4th Infantry in Colorado. Okay, so the guys were pretty much good enough to pick up their body weight on average. 2013, when I measured it last, 350. Across the board, like out of 150 guys, the average, taking the weakest and the strongest guys and combining them, was 350. Yeah.
Sir, how many were women?
7. Yeah, and what's funny is the girls actually almost doubled in strength. So when I got there, they were pulling maybe about 135, 155. They were pulling like 250, 260. That's what I like about working with the girls, especially in like tactical departments, is they've always had a chip on their shoulder, right? The tests were harder to get. They were harder to do for them naturally. The guys like, I'll just walk in and do the test. The girls had to work at it. So they liked the challenge, So on average, most of my girls, that's including the girls, most of them can pull around 250 at 130 body weight, right? So that's the difference in strength. So that's a correlation you can see. This is workman's comp and premiums at the same time. Okay, we were up to spending over $500,000 in workman's comp. We're down right under 300 now at 2014. I just looked at the stats. So we got out of group insurance. We're back in group insurance. So we're saving the department tons of money, i.e., since 2008, I've saved the department, after they paid my salary, $1.65 million. 150 guys. There's the claim summary. So that's when it started. It stayed pretty high because we didn't get all the equipment in the weight rooms until about 2010. So every fire department that I work with has the exact equipment that I want in there. Belt squats, reverse hypers, things like that. Things that are actually going to help their lower back get stronger. 2014 looks exactly the same. So we just got the data in about a month ago, so I didn't put it in the slide. But you get my point. We're saving money everywhere, and the correlation is the guys are 2 times stronger in the deadlift. Okay? The average age stayed the same. The average age is 46 years old. So it's not like we got rid of a bunch of old guys and brought in a ton of new pups, right? They're all staying in the job. So I just wanted to throw that out for you guys to let you know that this is important, okay? If we can save a small department that much money, we can do crazy things. So what I want to do is I want to bring 3 people up, and we're going to teach you guys how to sumo pull correctly, because trust me, I think the reason this room is a little bit, I mean, everybody at this conference should be here. They think that this is easy. Like, oh, you just grab it and pick it up. There is a lot of tricks to this that I can show you really fast. So the girls or anybody that's not real strong, start on the yellow. Guys in the medium, start on the 10s and the 135 range if you deadlift quite often. And I just want to take you guys up to as much weight as we have, and I want to show you guys little form imperfections that make a huge difference and can show you where your weaknesses are. So go ahead and give me 3 guys, or a girl and 2 guys, doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. Uh-oh. Don't be deboner, man. She want to come up here and work out. Dang, that's my bike, punk. All right, get over here. I know, you can share. All right, line up. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You guys all face that way. Okay, now, the first thing you want to do in generality is you want to line your shin up with the first ring. Okay, so there's rings on this bar. These bars have 2 rings. The first ring is a normal comp ring, so that's where you want your shins, okay? It's pretty self-explanatory, so you want to put that there. Now, when you go down to grab the bar, the first thing you want to do is you want to sit back to grab it. It's the same thing if you pick up an overweight patient, same thing if you pick up a piece of equipment. The butt leads the motion. See my shins didn't go over my knees? You just learned the biggest trick in the squat and world record weights. Right there, okay? It's harder to do than it is to see, but now, so what you're going to do is you're going to squat down, leading with the butt to grab the bar. So go ahead. Yep, I want to keep all this double overhand. Yep. Now, your hands lay where they're relaxed. You don't crunch them in, and you don't flare them out. They go where the shoulder lets them lay. Once you have a hold of the bar, grab the bar. Once you have complete grip of the bar, the first motion is to pull the butt down and put the shoulders back and the chest up. As hard as you can, almost to where it's painful. Now you want to stand up from there, looking up in the sky and forcing the glutes to come forward, setting it down slow. Okay, not too bad. Now you want to keep your head up. A head down pull is good if you're advanced, not good if you're normal. Usually what I tell my firemen and what we keep them from getting hurt so much is once you have your hands positioned on a heavy patient or a piece of equipment, I want your head up to pick it up. Everybody talks about cervical spine, right? How many have heard of that? Don't have your head up too high. It's wrong. I'd be in a wheelchair, okay? So stop. Stop with it. It doesn't make sense. I'm still here. My neck still moves. Okay? So you don't want to do things with your head down unless you have to see what your hands are doing. But usually even when I go out and help guys at the fire department picking stuff up, I set my hands and then I drive my head up and then I stand with it. Always. If you teach your guys to do that, you're going to have a lot less back problems. Because most people, when their head's down, they're going to shoot their knees straight and then their butt's going to rise up in the air and they're going to go like this on everything that they do. So get your head up, okay? It's not going to hurt your neck. All right. Now, 3 more people. We're going to go through this quick, so I hope you paid attention, because I want to see some kind of weight on the bar today. All right, now, line your shins up with the first ring. Good. Squat down to the bar, leading with the butt. Don't lean over to pick it up. Squat down, so you stand up, stop. You leaned over to grab the bar. Do you guys see it? Squat down to grab the bar. So look, right here. My head stays up the whole time. Yes. Now, you stand by thrusting your butt forward and picking your head up. Don't think about lifting the bar up. Think about squeezing your butt together and pushing your butt into the bar. That's good, but the guy in the front, where's your head? Where's your head, dude? Head's down. Get your head up. So you want to look somewhere at least neutral when you lift. That's not neutral, right? That's neutral. So do it again. That's better. You guys see automatically how his back's already a little straighter? That is huge when you're picking up maximal weights. Huge, okay? Especially in the real world, yeah. Right. This is what I love about sumo, and this is why it's so much safer for the back. He asked me about speed of the deadlift. The great sumo deadlifters are slow, methodical lifters, and I always teach slow speed first, okay? Conventional pullers, right, they grab the bar, they get a couple pumps, and then boom, they fire, right? It's not real good for your low back. In a normal stance, you want to grab that bar, and you want to pull it back and squeeze into the lower back, and then press it. Okay, now as the weights get heavier and your technique gets better, you can increase your speed. Always teach the sumo deadlift very, very slow. It takes the back pretty much out of the whole thing. Okay, the next three guys, you guys look pretty good. Don't be afraid for the girls and stuff to come up too, seriously. Okay, so we're going to line our shins up to the first ring. We're going to squat down to grab the bar, right? Our hands are going to be where they lay, so your hands are in too close. And then you're going to arch your back, and you're going to push your hips forward to stand. Go. Perfect. Yep, there it is. Do one more rep. You guys see that? It's pretty simple, right? Until it gets up really heavy, and then it gets difficult. Give me three more. You're going to learn more if you guys hop in and do this, honestly. So I wish we had 15 of these bars. Okay. Now, remember that the bar should be right up against your legs. Especially on sumo. I mean, right up against your pants. Now, when you reach down to grab the bar, remember that your hands are neutral. They're not in, they're not out, they're just flat. Squat down to get the bar. Good. Heads up. Stand with the hips. Go. Perfect. There it is. You should feel most of the pressure in your foot in your heel. Okay? That's ensuring that the glute is doing its job. Good. Yeah, not too bad. Okay, three more. So we're going to line our shins up with the first ring. We're going to walk all the way to the bar. Remember the cues. You got to listen to when I'm saying stuff. The bar should be right up against your legs, right up against it, right? 5 pounds out here is pretty heavy. 5 pounds in here is light, right? You want everything as close to as you can to yourself. So when I teach the guys, if we do a physical agility drill, we got to drag a 185-pound dummy. When they go to pick it up, I have them scoot all the way to the dummy. Because you don't know how many times I see guys try to grab it out here. Right? It's the same thing. Fractions of an inch on a deadlift is a mile in leverage, okay? Especially when you get up to ultra heavy weights. So walking all the way as close to the bar as we can. Squat down to get it. Good. Head up tall. Now lead with the lats. Pick the chest up as high as you can and then stand. Yep. Good. Just get your chest up a little higher. With these kind of weights, good. One more. All right, good. With these kind of weights, if you're doing it right, come here, Dougie. All right, Dougie, line up on that 135 real quick. I'm going to show you guys a couple little tricks. So that's the, yeah, go ahead. That's the basics of doing the sumo deadlift, okay? But I'm going to show you a couple little tricks. Go ahead. So you see a big guy like him, you'll see his butt will want to turn under his spine. You want to keep that as arched as possible, and then you want to actually lead with the lat. So you want to pull this way. Now stand. That's better. That little bit, I just changed him, I touched him and pulled him back. It's huge, okay? All right, that's good. Let me get Dougie in here. Now, Doug's going to line up. I'm going to show you a trick. So when you line this up and you get ready to pick it up, the number one thing is you know if you're loading it correctly if when you go down and pick up the bar doesn't roll away. So if the bar's rolling away, that means you're touching it with your shins and you're bending your knees forward. It's not what you want. You want to stay back on the glutes, okay? So that's a good kind of mental note for you guys. When you're picking stuff up, you don't want to see the bar drifting away from your body. You want to see it right up real close to it and staying that way. That means you're going down in the proper position to pick up the weight. So Dougie's going to pick that weight up. So he's going to reach down and grab it, right? Now the first thing he's going to do is he's going to squeeze his lats as hard as he can. At that weight, it should slightly come off the ground before it even picks it up. You guys see it kind of hovering? Make it hover a little higher. Right there. Now pick it up. That engages the upper back and makes it lock in. So if you watch me, if you were to watch videos of me doing this with like 600, I'll grab it and I'll literally pick it up with my upper back off the ground and then deadlift it. But then obviously with 750 or 800, I can't do that, right? But what I'm doing is I'm flexing on the bar and ensuring that this is as tight as it can be before I go to load the hip. And that makes sure that the bar doesn't roll away from me, stays in close, protects my back, and make sure that the right muscles are doing the right work, okay? So at this weight, you guys should be able to honestly pick that up with your lats like a half an inch off the ground and then lift it. That's going to ensure that your back is straight as an arrow. Never have a back problem ever again deadlifting. Go ahead, try it again. Yep, big arch. See? So he's going to engage. That's the right muscle to engage, and now he's going to press. Now he's going to lift it up. So you guys see how it kind of straightened his posture out? That's the biggest trick in the book. I actually just did a seminar at my place, about a month ago? About a month ago, and I had 11 guys show up to the seminar, and all 11 guys broke PRs in their deadlift like that. Some have been stuck for 5 years. You know what I taught them? What I just taught you right there. They just thought they were going to go down and grab it and pick it up. So what happens when you do that is your back does this when it gets heavy. If you engage the lat first, it does this. That's 100% difference in the world in being able to pick up people, equipment, dummies, anything. Any questions? Yo.
So for that technique,
Yeah.
what would be the highest percentage of the one-on-one to stop?
Well, I would teach it with everyone at the lowest percentages, but I do that technique when I'm maxing. So every deadlift.
Going for a record, you'll pop it first, and
Well, you're not going to pop it, but that teaches you to try to do it, which puts you in the right position.
then you feel so you can drive your butt down.
It's going to help you drive your butt down and pick your chest up and turn the bar path into more linear and keep it off your lower back. Right, and it works picking up dummies for your agility tests and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Coming from an over-under grip on conventional, would you recommend me to double over?
Yeah. That's a really good thing. You know, did anybody in Eric Cressy's speech with the side, the side, you know, the imbalance, scapular imbalances and all that stuff? That's a great way to train because, you know, in reality, first teaching a whole crew how to deadlift, teach the double overhand until grip becomes a problem because then you're making symmetry. So he's asking a really good question, you know, when I'm doing this kind of grip, how does that change things? It doesn't. But in normal people, I never let them train over-under grip until they get stronger because I want to make sure that both lats are equal, and then you won't have that problem. When you get up to our level, you're going to have an issue like that because you have to have an underhand unless you got really long fingers to hook grip, which most people don't have big enough hands to do, especially if it gets up like crazy heavy. So my point is as a fireman and a military guy, you should be able to double overhand 500. And that sounds like crazy, right? Well, that's a decent bench. It's not that great of a deadlift. So kind of get out of that little mindset that 5 wheels on each side is really strong, because I think it's strong like if you're a 140-pound girl. You know, that's really strong. If you're a guy, I'm like, I'll see you over here. Yeah, no problem. But my point is work towards the goals. I mean, you know, it's funny because, yeah, I'm a big, strong guy and I'm making fun of weak people. That's not really the case. I mean, it kind of is. But my point is that you want to really get out of the mindset of what's light and what's heavy. That's the roughest part with all of our profession, having these limitations. That's why I see people's presentations when it's about stretching and physio balls and all this stuff, and it's packed. And then in here I'm teaching you actually how to lift some big weights, and half the people want to be here. Well, what are we? You know what I mean? It's supposed to be strength and conditioning, and I think strength is first in that, right? So get out of the mindset, you know. I got 55-year-old ladies at my gym. I got a 60-year-old lady right now that deadlifts 350 and weighs 135. You know how long she's been lifting? 5 years. So get over it. I mean, it's just like, but the reason is they're around me all the time. So I'm like, I give them praise when praise is deserved, but they start getting disoriented on what's strong and what's weak, right? If you think 500 is heavy, you're in the wrong gym, okay? I wish there was 1,000 of me to be out teaching this all the time so I could come and say, hey, I just deadlifted 405, and I'll be like, great. I mean, it's awesome. Or 600, And what's funny is when I was at Ranger Division, we had a guy there named, his last name was Maycotti, and he had a 650 deadlift, a 450 bench, and a 625 squat, and a 1550 3-mile run time with a 40-pound pack on, 189 pounds. That was the baddest athlete I've ever seen in my life. But you know what? Everything he did in the weight room was easy because he was so strong, So like what Kramer is telling you with all these motor unit recruitments and all this stuff, it makes perfect sense. You've got to get super strong if you want to be able to do like stuff that's hard for others easy. And that's supposed to be our job. As fire, police, and military, we're supposed to be better than the average person. But I'm here to tell you that there's average people walking around the Kroger grocery store that are stronger than some of the people that are here at this conference, and that's not right. Does that make sense what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to be a world record holder, but be strong compared to normal people, okay? So we got a ton of weight over here. Anybody that wants to go up to a max and let me see their form break, I would highly recommend you guys stay and watch me see what I say to them. Because the thing of it is max weights show everything. They show you your strengths, your weaknesses, all that stuff. So anybody that wants to max and let me see what we do, this is what I do with my 55-year-old girls, so don't be scared. Okay? So who wants to max? Awesome. Awesome. Okay, start loading it up. So I want you guys to warm up like you would do a normal max, Start off kind of light, work up kind of heavy. I want the guys, who deadlifts over 500? So, or sumo. If you've deadlifted 500, then I want you to stand right here. If you've deadlifted 500, stand right here. What's your best deadlift, like 250? What's your best? You don't know? Okay, you girls have this this one right here, okay? Who else is going to deadlift? What's your best pull? Anybody in the 350 to 400 range? You guys right here. Stand right here. Okay. All right, now, I want you guys to all work together, so you guys are going to have to change plates fairly regularly because obviously we don't have enough plates that I asked for. And then the girls, you guys give girls free reign if they need a plate to max, okay? I want you guys to do this for 5. I want everybody to do 135 for 5, then you got to do 2 1/4 for 3, and we'll go from there. All sumo. Conventional, if you can pull 500 conventional, you'll be fine today.
I mean, I don't do sumo. I do a lot of Olympic lifting, but shoes off, on, I don't know.
What
is that? I mean,
okay, he's got a good question. I want to get up to maxing today, and obviously this is only 50 minutes. Probably should have been 3 hours, but I like to max if I'm pulling in like a Chuck Taylor or a very flat-soled shoe. Reason being is you want your foot to react the same way it does. So don't go in running shoes and go practice the deadlift. You're going to roll your ankle. You want something that doesn't, if it does roll, it doesn't roll out. So you see, if I'm here and my foot rolls a little bit, no problem, right? If I'm in a mushy shoe, I just broke my ankle. So when you're doing stuff a little wider, you want to be in flat-soled shoes or something that can let you push out. Okay? So these Olympic shoes you see that people buy for like $250, just go throw them in the trash for me. All right? Because they're okay for back squats some point, but not good for deadlifting. All right, we still got another bar here if you guys want to try. Yeah, you, get over here. You too. Deadlift, come on. You guys are getting coached by somebody that doesn't get out too much. You guys ought to check this out. Did you kind of see the technique that I was showing them?
Yeah, I've been doing them. I started doing them in February.
Okay.
No weights because
Yeah.
my rotator cuff's getting better.
I got you.
So
Which
I
one
love
is it? The right one?
Yeah. So I was just, doing the bar.
Try with just this, and I want you to just make sure, how I told them to lock the lat in? Try that and see if it bothers it. It shouldn't.
With these weights.
Yeah, that's only, it'll be 60 pounds.
All right, man.
Yeah, you should be all right. What's up, Beefcake? Now, remember what you want to do. You want to get your shins all the way to the bar, and then you want to put those shins right at the first circle. So it'd be like here. Yep, there you go. Now get your head up as high as you can, lock the lat in, and stand up from there very slow. Yeah, that's pretty good. Any pain? Good. Just practice your technique and let me dial that in. We may not have enough weight for you guys to kind of go heavy, but I just want to make sure you guys get a couple reps in. Cool, yeah. You just want to, usually when you're deadlifting, you want to have that bar dragging your leg the whole time. Get as close as you can. Now remember, use a double overhand grip.
Kilos.
Yeah, I'd add a yellow. Put a yellow on.
She hasn't deadlifted in a long time. Is that fine?
It's okay. Did you pull that? Did it look good?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, put the yellow on. Good. Yeah, there you go. Looks a lot better. Just remember to get the technique down. Just, you don't have to do anything real fast today. You want to just get it perfect. Usually if I wear pants like that and I'm pulling, the pants are tore up because it's dragged up them the whole time. You know what I mean? That's when you know you're deadlifting correctly, if you're starting to lose skin on your leg. If you're not, probably got it too far out in front of you.
So for your competition, you go conventional.
Yep, I pull this way about 80% of the time.
Now, do you see that there's anything, do you do anything to bring up your lower back, like get ready for a meet kind of thing?
Well, that's the nice thing is just making your lower back work, but it's putting it in a position that's glute dominant.
Gotcha.
Lower back gets super strong.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You
Oh,
have to do for specific.
I used to think the same thing. I mean, we do a lot of reverse hypers and 45-degree back extensions, but I still think that's a glute dominant movements. You know, this just allows you to pull all the time. You cannot pull conventional constantly. It will just tear you apart unless you're perfectly built for it with a very short torso and long arms. Like guys that are really good deadlifters, I've seen them able to do it, but they're not getting the same kind of compression ratio as you are with your shoulder to hip ratio and your arm length, you know.
Programming.
Well, it's like me and Eddie Cohen are real good friends. He taught me how to deadlift when I was a kid. I can't use his programs to deadlift. I'm not 5'3" with a torso this tall. You know what I mean? You guys look way better. That's really good.
Matt, you know that's come back after like having a bicep tear?
Oh yeah.
See, I feel like I could
Do it double overhand though. That's going to help. And so hey, he had a really good question. Anybody ever had bicep problems from deadlifts and stuff? Guys have been pulling for a while. Always deadlift with your tricep flexed. Flex your tricep. That keeps the bicep turned off and protects the bicep tendon. So you guys ever seen on the YouTube where people like boom, blow their bicep off and like, oh, I'm not deadlifting that, looks like it'll hurt you. Flex your tricep and you'll never have that problem. So when I go down and grab the bar, I flex my triceps as hard as I can. Never had a bicep problem deadlifting. Been doing it for 25 years. We'll do this after that. But it's not what auxiliary exercises you do for sumo, it's what you just do, period. You know what I mean? Right. This forces you to. Yeah, good. Yo.
How did you get the chief of the city administration to allow you, the fire department,
Yeah.
to do maximum deadlifts, because some of us, we'll do that, but as soon as the assistant chief and chief see here's that we're throwing weight around the bumper plate, they want to think the bumper plate's out of the fire.
It's having and why we always talk at the NSCA and stuff, it's having the master's degree, having the experience with Ranger divisions and Army divisions. When I came in, I told them straight up, it is my way or the highway. I am not doing any foo-foo. You're going to do it my way or I don't want the job, period. And they was like, well, okay. So we did it, and I said, you're not going to see injury rates go down like right away. It's going to take, you saw on that thing, it's going to take a couple of, you know. It took a couple of years. But now we're down to spending like a couple $1,000s on claim summaries. We were spending like $45,000 a year just on claim summaries. Now we're down to $2,000 a year. So now do you think I have a problem with it? See?
All the guys bought into the program.
Yep. We probably have maybe 5 or 6 guys that still like to go out and smoke cigarettes and stuff. But then when I test them, they have to come in and work out with me. They don't have a choice. They have to.
So they made it mandatory program.
They made it mandatory. Yeah, but they can still slack off. But after they see all the other guys getting stronger and not having the time off and like, you know, and then the guys retiring are still coming in and working out because they want to stay healthy, it's kind of become a big steamroll train effect, you know what I mean? Everybody's snowballing into the program, but the first couple of years were rough. But I just said it might take 4 or 5 years to change the mentality. Come walk around with me if you're going to talk to me so I can watch these guys.
and
Yep.
they'll stay neutral. It'll look soft.
Yep.
And others that come up and almost rock and
You don't want to rock it back. You want to stay vertical and keep the shoulders back.
So you want to finish it with your
So you want to
hips,
be,
right?
yeah, you want to have your butt squeezed as hard as you can, but not rolled
Right,
back.
roll back, yeah.
Usually if your knee is unlocking at the top, you're too far back. You should be straight vertical at the top with your shoulders back and your butt squeezed as hard as you can. That's straight up and down, right? For most people, they go to this way. See, it's going to start bending my knee.
Yeah, I know I don't want to go to extension. I'm just
Right.
watching some of these people. Some of them finish real hard. Some of them finish real soft.
Yeah, and just remember your shoes. So like these would be the shoes that you guys don't want to pull in right here. So just pull them off, unless you got really stinky feet. But those would be the shoes that you don't want to walk into a gym and work out in for weights. You know, and that's the biggest thing I see. That's what I got my master's actually in. My paper was in using proper shoes. But that's the type of stuff you want to do, something flat-soled, yeah. Kind of wherever it's comfortable. Yeah, and that's like fine-tuned stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah. You getting there? You getting close? You sliding around a little bit? Pull your socks off. What? All right, let me see. Now remember, the sides of your feet should be digging into the ground, right? We're going this way.
Maybe I'm turned out too much.
Yeah, turn them straighter. Yeah, they should be dug into the ground pretty good. Yep, remember, lead with the lats. Try it out. Okay, good. Stop. All right, I want everybody to come around here and look real quick. I'm going to use an example. Don't be embarrassed. This is what you'll see all the time. This is what you guys are going to see too. All right, so what you're going to see here is she's going to go and pick this up. Obviously, it's not going to move. I want you to do it exactly the same way, and I want you to watch what you guys are going to see. Yeah, you cheated that time. You didn't do what I told you. You tried to fix it. Just do it normal. Just do it however it feels comfortable. There. Boom. Did you see what happened? What happened? Why does the butt come up? No. Well, the knees that partially. The reason that you see her butt come up is because instead of standing up with the glutes, the quadriceps, and the lower back all in one integral unit, you just saw a person try to leg extension a weight off the ground, which is what you're going to see when you pick up somebody that's a little too heavy for you out in the field or a piece of equipment. You're going to see somebody grab it, and you're going to see this. Wham! It's just turned into a good morning. Guess what just happened? If it's ultra heavy, back's gone. Okay? That's where we see the injuries. The legs are stronger than the core support and the glute activation. Okay? So what you want to do is when you know your training regiment's going correct, the first time I had you guys all gather around and see her fail, she failed perfectly. Did you see nothing broke? It just stayed locked. So I can't pick it up, but I didn't break form to do it. If you do that, you never have a problem. It's just too heavy for you. But you see people go into instincts. That's why you have to go heavy like all the time. So you get out of that fight or flight adrenal stuff that he was talking about, and you're used to straining. So people that aren't used to straining go into all kinds of crazy form and technique to pick things up because they're just in fight or flight. They don't realize it. That's why it's so important to use max effort training. Motor unit recruitment and all that, yeah, those are all great. But the real key is you maintain, with a great lifter or person that trains weights all the time is good at maintaining technique while they strain. That's the importance of doing max effort work. That's the importance of sumo deadlifts. Questions? Yeah.
Fix her hips. Did you feel like she was hyperextended on the back?
See, now we're getting in all this thing about there's really, I mean, when I'm like getting ready to squat a big world record weight or getting ready to pull something, I am trying to extend that as much as I can to increase that curve. Obviously, some people that don't have the muscle, I can only go so far because then my hip flexors are tight too, so they tighten up. But in reality, for most people, you can't hyperextend. You can underextend, and that's when you get the problems. So you're not going to see a lot of problems of guys hyperextending with their butt out too much. This is going to become the problem. This is when you get hurt, is when you're this way, not this way. So don't get too crazy about trying to teach. It's like the head position. You may hear you guys hearing guys about getting hurt with your head up too high. I'd be dead. There's no too high on deadlifts or squats. You know, you want to get it as high as you can. It's the same thing on this stuff. So I wouldn't worry too much about the hyperextension. You're not going to see a huge problem with that. I'm not really sure where all that came from, but
Even full conventional, same thing?
Yep. Okay. So go back to maxing. If I see somebody else break, I want you guys to come around. Hopefully one of you big guys can do something a little different and we can see it.
I do feel part of your success in the program in reducing injuries is because people working with maximal loads, they're getting an awareness of their body, what they can
Yep.
do, and they know when to
Yep.
drop out of it.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And they're able to push through more in a safer rate because they're twice as strong.
They've got that more body awareness.
Yeah, so my point being is in a fire service where guys aren't super strong, now when they go pick up something that's 200 pounds, right, it's not a big deal for them because it's only 60% of their max. When I first got them, it was 105% of their max. You got a big problem if you're trying to pick up 100% of your best and it's not perfect or it's awkward. If it's only 50%, it's not a huge deal. Make sense what I'm saying? It creates a buffer. You put it wherever it's comfortable, but you want to try to pull it like kind of medium, almost straight ahead. The more you turn out, the more you're going to be able to scissor your legs and kind of turn it into a leg press. The more you turn straight, the more you're going to be able to use that glute medius and maximus, in my opinion. So I try to do it with a little bit of a straighter foot.
If you have somebody that's got really tight hips, if they've got a lower back issue, do you adjust the height of the bar when they're learning to pull? Or
Well,
how
I
do
try to keep it lighter and go more. That's good, you're done. Okay, so I want another big thing to remember what I said about hand position, right? So look there. You're going to see that too. You guys see his hands? Where they at?
Too close.
Right? Where do your hands go? Right? Where they're natural. There you go. Now do it. Perfect. Good. Okay, so what are you asking now? Okay, so he's got a lower back tightness. What would you do for bar height, right? You see guys do this a lot on pins. In my opinion, if I had a guy, you're talking about like a Michigan, like a college kid?
Yeah, or just me in general.
You, okay. An older individual, you're going to want to lighten the weight and you actually want to go to deficit pulls. You want to get that range of motion. Range of motion is key, one of the other major keys to not getting hurt. Okay, so instead of, getting that, because what ends up happening with guys that start pulling limited range of motion, you don't ever get it back. So I don't know how many guys I've lifted with in the past that could pull 800, 900, 1,000 out of pin 3 or 4 right at the knee, can't pull 600 off the ground. So what's the point, right? So you want to get it to where you actually have that mobility down at the bottom. So if your back's tight, usually a weak muscle is tight. So this is probably not real strong, or you're not having good glute activation. So what does a weak muscle do in order to adjust to a heavy workload it's not prepared for? Tightens up. So if you ever walk around with a tight back, it's probably telling you it's not very strong. Okay? So this will help alleviate some of those issues. Plus you're noticing that this makes your hips flexible. Doing conventional pulls really doesn't, which I'm a big fan of. You still going?
You're in your bottom position, you're trying to keep the knees out.
Yep. So when you're in the bottom position, you want to force the knees out. So that's the kind of the key of doing a good squat. You're just sitting back, opening up to sit, keeping your body position in that position. Okay, getting close. So as you can see, as she started to strain, the first thing that happened was the butt started to come up, right? That's why it's so important to lead with the shoulder. Remember how I told you almost to kind of lat raise it first? It's going to get up to a particular weight where you're not going to be able to lat raise it, but it starts the pull in the proper position. Does that make sense? I use this from anybody that's a 5-year-old kid that I'm coming in just playing with ultralight weights and like a bamboo rod, all the way up to a 65-year-old lady that's never had any weightlifting experience. This is how I teach them to pull, So when he goes to grab it, he's going to lock his lats as hard as he can, try to row it. Now he's going to pick it up. See how it led everything the right way? That's how you do it. You want to learn how to pick up a heavy person and carry him out of a building? That's how you do it. You got to lock the lats, you got to keep your head up tall, and you got to stay on your heels. Yep.
Do you sometimes teach cues deadlift with a lot of a push to kind of remind the hips there and drive with the feet? Or?
I think it all fixes itself if you lock the lat in. If you lock the lat in, the body has to do it right. It all starts from the upper back. As soon as the shoulders fall, you're toast. You know what I mean?
If I say, like, if you tell them to pull, sometimes they'll
Yep.
do this.
Yeah.
If you tell them to push, they stay tighter.
Yeah. So remember, lats first as hard as you can and then pick it up. That was decent, but your lats and your glutes turn on at the same time. So you want to pull your lats so hard it almost makes you more vertical. So pull out until it makes you more vertical. Now lift it. That's better. You guys see how his butt stayed down farther? Boom. There you go. learning some stuff. What's that? That's just a good general. Yeah, I mean, you're going to be in a little bit different of a scenario, but that's the same position I put my super tall football guys in, you know. Because most of the time they might be taller and you could go wider, but you're probably not more flexible. So because you're having to lean over a little more. So that kind of keeps you in more of a modified sumo. So you can use a little bit more leg drive and a little less back. If you got too wide, you're going to start having, it's hard, you know, hard on a tall guy.
Hey, Matt, do you ever teach push out with your feet?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the proper. So get your hands in. Remember, okay, so you guys see, this is the hardest part with coaching stuff. So you remember how I talked about keeping that neutral hand position? When you go up to heavy weights, guess what everybody does? All back to what they used to do, right? So you want to make sure that you keep your eyes on stuff. That's a lot better of a hand position. Now get your head up, and now look to the ceiling and lock the lats in before you pick it up. Now lift it. A lot better. Good. So as you can see, when you lock the lats in, it makes you force the weight back. Then you can press it. If you just try to lift it, you're going to fall. It's going to pull you forward. What's that for? Interesting.
Sometimes you're not allowed to control.
Good point. Yeah, but sometimes it's only 275. I'll be out here. Locking in, good. Okay, you guys see that? You guys see that butt shoot up first? This is what you're going to see in most people, most athletes. It doesn't matter who you work with. That's what you're going to see, and you're going to see it at varying degrees of insanity, right? You're going to see it shoot way up and way down. And it usually the higher the butt shoots off the floor, the stronger the quadriceps are and the weaker the posterior chain is. Okay? So I know we got a lot of people in here, and like we said, is anybody else pulling this really easy and want to go up higher? Okay, go ahead. My whole point to this is you got to have your big lifts in your programs. You can't rely on a bunch of prehab stuff. Okay? Going back to your question, when you see that kind of stuff, what do you do? I mean, what do you do with your guys? Does more deadlifts fix it? Right? Does all these you know, like just this pure lift fix itself? And the answer is no. So we use a lot of, we consider this exercise a what lift? What kind of lift is it? What? Just in general. If you were going to say, put this in your program, what lift would this be? Huh? Right, compound movement, right? You're going to have to use multiple joints, and it's a big movement. But there's one thing that you're not thinking of. Go into your, there you go, get your shoulders back a little harder, flex your triceps more at the top. That's better, see? Set it down. Okay, so it's compound movement. But one thing you're missing, a lot of these things you went and listened to this week, right, were all about rehab and prehab stuff? No, I'm getting at, this is a compressive exercise. Compression, right? So we're picking something up, it's smashing us down, it's smashing our spine. So everything else that you want to do beyond this should be mostly traction based. Reverse hypers, 45-degree back extensions, glute ham raises. You notice that I'm saying exercises that are attacking the posterior chain. You wouldn't want to go to this and see somebody's butt shooting up and put them on a leg press. You're making the problem worse. You're making their legs stronger, their posterior chain hide and be weaker comparatively to the front side. Make sense? So if I see somebody's butt shoot up on a deadlift, first thing I put them on is a glute ham raise, a reverse hyper, or a 45-degree back extension to develop the posterior chain. That way they're pulling back and everything's working together. 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you got it fixed. Make sense? That's why it's so important to do big core lifts. Core lifts are telling you at maximal loading what the body is going to be up against, right? So the key is you use these tools to not only get stronger. We look at a deadlift and go, man, that's a strength exercise. It's also an assessment tool, right? Sit and reach test tells us jack, honestly. This tells me everything that's going on. It tells me if you're flexible, tells me if you're in good position, and it tells me what your body's going to do in fight or flight. What are you going to do when things are so heavy that you have to do it by instinct? Well, I hope that your instinct is perfect, because if it's imperfect, you're going to have an injury. Make sense what I'm saying? Questions? I know it's a lot to absorb. I mean, like I said, the hard part with teaching these big lifts is there's so much to learn. It would be really easy if I just came in and taught you little tips on deadlifts, but I want you guys to understand that there's a huge picture to this. You've got to get stronger, you got to know where your weaknesses are, and you got to fix your weaknesses at all times. Weaknesses change. So you might go through a 15, 20, 30 week program where your hamstrings are weak, your hamstrings get strong. You got to find the next muscle group that's not doing its job. And usually, with most people, because they don't train long enough, it's always going to be low back, glutes, and hamstrings. So if your program on lower body day is involving low back, glutes, and hamstrings, you're 90% right, and that's all you can ask of yourself dealing with massive groups of people. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So we just saw that we have a posterior chain weakness. Everybody, when they started to train, the butt shot up, right? That's telling you that the hamstrings and the glutes aren't doing their job. Yeah.
But, let's say sitting is the new smoking. Do you see that this is coming out in the training you're doing, your groups and things like that, that a lot of people who are very sedentary by sitting down, that posterior chain is the wrong position,
Yeah.
really finding it hard to engage this, and
Yeah.
when you're changing this, they find
Yeah. Yeah, so what he's saying is that we sit around, 85% of the workforce now is like a computer desk, right? And I get a client come in and do this and that or whatever, wants to get stronger, but the real battle is them sitting at their desk all day. You can't start them on deadlifts. What I do is I have specialized machine at my place. It's a belt squat, which people have seen, but I've designed mine over the last 6 or 8 years to make sure it's perfect comparison to what a straight bar would weigh. So if you can squat 300 on my belt squat machine, you can squat 300 on a bar. So we build them up there so it's traction based, right? So the problem with sitting is it's more compression on the lumbar spine, therefore it's putting everything in flexion or however you want to look at it. The big point is that you have to start people in traction based movements. So if you're going to take an average Joe Schmo or a firefighter that's never lifted weights and had a desk job and just decided he wants to be a fireman, and you start teaching them power cleans and front squats, you're doing them a disservice. They need to have glute ham raises, 45-degree back extensions. They need to get that balance, because I can almost guarantee you that an average person walking off the street does not have those muscles and can't activate them correctly. So what I do is, if I got a person that's never done a whole lot of weight training, I do an entire posterior chain 8-week kicker. And then when I teach them how to deadlift, all the hard work's done. They know how to activate those muscles, and 85-90% of the time when they go to pick something up, it's perfect. So you almost have to reteach the muscles how to activate, because you've deadened them by sitting for so long, and then you do it in a traction-based way, you don't have a problem. Make sense? Okay. Questions?
Do you do any type of bench press testing with the fire department?
Yeah. We actually, the bench press was like 135 average, and now it's like 235, 240, which is pretty good, including the women. So, yeah, I do bench press, sumo deadlift, and then kettlebell swings for time. And the kettlebell swings for time is how much the equipment weighs that they get. When I started, they could swing it on average for about 55 seconds until they were ready to die. Now it's 3 minutes.
With the weight being
35 pounds. 35-pound kettlebell, 16 kilogram. And they just have to swing to the eye until they can't move, like until they're dead. And it's funny, because we put them on an air management drill test, and the amount of time they can swing the kettlebell is about as long as they can last on air. So it's got a very good relevance to it. I need to start doing some data on that, but those are the 3 tests that I thought were really easy to test, and the injury rate was going to be really, really low. So, any questions? Yeah, I mean, the key is, get your hands set correctly, but if you deadlift all the time, you're going to be comfortable with where your hand positioning goes, but you're going to see a lot of that issue with beginners, but at more advanced you get, it'll be less of an issue. Yeah.
So do you know of any research where they looked at the change in center of gravity from conventional to sumo using the hex bar deadlift?
I am a huge non-fan of the hex bar. I hate it. One, what's that? Oh yeah, I forgot I was in the movie. Well, hey, at least they were deadlifting. I mean, that's all I could ask for. I'm watching them go, oh man, at least they're deadlifting, but it's a hex bar. All right, but you got to think about it, is that when you go pick something up, most of the time when you pick something up, it's not going to be in a farmer walk position. It's going to be out in front of you, and your body's going to be inhibiting whatever's in front of you most of the time. So if we know that going into it, I wouldn't train the hex bar very often. Plus, I think that in the beginner level, hex bar usually lets people deadlift a little bit more, but do it incorrectly. So I'm not a huge fan. I think the hex bar should be used when It's when you're already a decent deadlifter and you want to use it as a variation. But I'm not a big fan of it picking up from the side. I think it actually causes more back problems. No, because the hex is worse. Yeah, in my opinion, I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it with 800 and tell me about it.
Someone could we contact you? Because a lot of firefighters, you know,
Oh,
like you said,
yeah.
they don't have a lot of history with deadlifting. So that progression that you were talking about with the back extension and all.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. It took me so long to get developed in the fire program, which you saw the level of things really go down the last couple of years, is that's when we finally got all the good equipment in the firehouses. We got the reverse hypers, we got the belt squats. But you know what's funny is that if you actually buy the right stuff for the departments, I have $15,000 in weight equipment per department. I have 7 firehouses. So we did that over the course of 3 or 4 years. If you go buy one leg press, it's $6,000 or more. So honestly, if you know what you're buying and you know what works, it saves you a ton of money. Because, you know, a reverse hyper is $700-800. A good ham raise is $1,000. The equipment that really, really works and is going to help you guys lower your injuries and get really strong is not expensive. You know what I mean? So we were able to outfit the weight rooms in the fire departments for fairly reasonable price. We allocated it for it in the levies, and it wasn't a huge deal, and we got rid of a lot of junk that was actually hurting the guys. So it's not, you know, I don't know what study came out. I think maybe it's from Harvard or Yale, but they said for every $1 that you invest in a wellness program at a fire department, a police department, it saves you 17. It's true. I mean, I've been up at that firehouse. They've paid me maybe $150,000 the last 8 years I've been there because I only go there on Thursdays. I've saved them $1.6 million. That's a return on investment. You know what I mean? And that's after they bought all their equipment, paid me, all that stuff. Yeah. Right, exactly. Which saves everybody a lot of pain and headaches.